Hello. We have a serious blind spot in corporations. We still don't understand the power of emotions. And this is causing us huge loss of human potential, creativity, motivation, and money. When I started working as a young psychologist, I was full of excitement. How exciting it was to finally enter the world of grown-ups and give my input to the world. And then I was invited to meetings. Well, I was thrilled at first. After all, we would be discussing important stuff and making important decisions, and we would make a difference and we would change the world. But then something unexpected happened. I got infected with corporate syndrome. Corporate syndrome is a horrible disease, eventually leading to emotional death. Its early symptoms include losing your passion and personality, becoming stiff and rigid, and loss of intellectual capabilities. You might even start believing that only facts and figures and numbers matter. People are only rational. And emotions, they have no role in the workplace. You might even start saying, at work, I won't show emotion. But this is crazy. There's this scientific famous study called the still face experiment, where babies start crying and they become desperate and anxious and hopeless if their mother stops showing emotions, even just for a little while. And this still face experiment is taking place in the world, in thousands of workplaces every day with adults. You come to work excited, feeling good. And then you come across these blank, still faces with no emotion, and you lose your excitement, you lose your passion. You start thinking, oh, maybe my ideas were not so great after all. Maybe I'm not really good after all. You become anxious and you start suffering. This may be a really great tactic for a Secret Service agent when they are interrogating a person and the other person is suffering when you show no emotion. But why would you do this at the workplace? Because if you show no emotion, you kill the emotional climate around you, and you cause damage to your business. Why? Well, because emotions are the fuel for all creativity, decisions, cooperation, motivation, you name it, everything. Emotions are the fuel for human performance. And there's plenty of research to back up this claim. For example, just to mention some recent examples, in a recent Harvard Business Review article, they stated that those companies who have a high employee satisfaction outperform their peers with up to 184% better stock return in long term. Another study, a company with the childish name, Google, made some serious work. And they really tried to figure out what is it that makes some teams more successful than others. And they really spent a lot of time and effort in this, and sweat and tears and data crashing, and finally they came up with an answer. The key to a successful team is psychological safety. In other words, the emotional climate of the team is the key to success. After all, in the end, it is not a matter of opinion. Some may think that emotions are irrelevant at work, but science proves otherwise. Fortunately, there is a cure for the corporate syndrome. The cure is actually quite easy. It is called the game of emotions. It's a game everybody can learn and play. It only has 3 rules. So, rule number 1. Pay attention to emotions. You cannot possibly lead or deal with or manage something you don't even see to exist. But emotions, they are there all the time, everywhere, in every workplace. And they are having a huge impact on people's imagination, cognitive abilities, motivation, decisions, everything. So pay attention to emotions. You can even pick up a new hobby. You can become an emotion watcher. Why watch birds or stamps or chicks or gals or something or TV? Or when you can watch emotions, there's plenty of research targets available every moment. For example, if you are sitting in one of those dead meetings where one person is talking and one is pretending to listen and the rest are checking emails or dozing off or doing who knows what, stop and pause and look inside yourself and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And then look around you. What are the emotions the others are experiencing? You see frustration? That's curious glance. There's some anxiety. Great. Do you see any smiles? Now you're paying attention. Rule number 2. Learn about emotions. When I got sick with corporate syndrome, I started learning, and boy, did I learn. There are so many fascinating, amazing, practical things about emotions we should all learn, but this information just stays in the academic world and it doesn't reach our everyday lives, especially not the corporate life. But it is worthwhile to take the time and effort to really start learning about emotions because that will change your life. Once you learn more about emotions, you start seeing more emotions and you start experiencing more emotions. And experiencing more emotions means a rich emotional life. And a rich emotional life is a life worth living. And a rich emotional life is also a crucial element for a successful, sustainable, flourishing corporation. There was this one leader who always got really bad results in the organizational climate survey. But he took the time and effort to learn about emotions. And he started to look around. And he started noticing, emotions there. I see smiles, I see frustration, anxiety. And he started asking questions. How do you feel about working here? What is causing this frustration? Why are we fearful? What are we afraid of? How would we like to work when we are here? Why are we no more passionate than this? And they started having meaningful conversations. And those meaningful conversations turned into inspiring conversations. And the emotional climate started to change rapidly. Next time there was this corporate climate survey, his unit got the best results ever. Rule number 3. Learn emotion skills. Learn new skills for dealing with emotions. Emotion skills are fully learnable. Some of them are really easy, some of them take more time to learn, but actually you have a lot of emotion skills already. Think about this. If you really wanted to make another person feel bad, could you do that? How about the other way? If you really wanted to make someone feel great, make another person smile, could you think of ways to do that? So you have a lot of emotion skills already. Of course, there are tons of them to be learned. And in the end, once you have learned enough, you can no longer say, I don't know how to deal with this situation. But you can only say, what haven't I tried yet? Let me share with you some of my favorite skills. One of them is awakening curiosity. Curiosity is one of the most powerful emotions because it captures our attention and builds motivation greatly. And when we try to influence people, we have to get them curious first. So you could try something like, if you're sitting in a dead meeting, one of those dead meetings, you could, for example, say that, hey, I think I have something important we should discuss. And everybody would get curious, and then you could go on. I'm really wondering what is taking place in our team. We are all spending our valuable time here, but I don't think any of us is having any fun. I don't see anybody really interested or anything. To be frank, I think we are emotionally dead. What do you think about that? Any ideas? And then you listen and be prepared for one of the best discussions of your lifetime, at least in the corporate world. Another of my favorite skills is self-exposure. And I don't mean this kind of exposure. That would definitely be it, but that would be a way to get fired. But I mean a very different kind of self-exposure. And that means exposing your inner world. exposing your wishes, your thoughts, your emotions. If you do it skillfully, magic can happen. For example, there was this one team leader who had a really negative person in the team, was always nagging and everything was wrong and nothing worked and there was nothing he could do. And in the end, he said, "Listen, I so much wish I could be a great boss for you, but obviously I have failed. Sorry for that. I believe you're not happy working here with me either. And whatever I try, I think it's not working, so I'm at a loss. I was wondering, could I ask you for help? Would you have any tips for me? How should I approach you in such a way that you would also feel better working here?" And again, you listen. And they had for the first time, they connected and had a really good discussion. We all know that corporate culture changes slowly. It can remain stagnant even over generations, but the emotional climate can change in an instant. And remember, emotions are the fuel for human performance. I believe we are entering a future where we can end and eradicate corporate syndrome for good, if we just want to do so. So start playing, start learning the game of emotions, and bring your organization back to life. A final thought I would like to leave you with. We all contribute to the emotional climate. When you come to work, what are you to your colleagues? Are you a source of fear, anxiety, and shame? Or are you a source of inspiration, gratitude, and joy? Thank you.